everyone, I'm Lily, and I'm super excited to have you here. Welcome to our channel, Easy Peasy English. If you want to learn English the easy way and speak confidently in real life, you're in the right place. Let's get started with Ryan before you go.
Hi guys, I'm Ryan.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
What if the difference between like a highly successful day and just an absolute mental breakdown comes down to whether you own 3 identical blue shirts or a whole closet full of options?
Oh, it's a wildly different way to live.
Right. Because we tend to view our daily routines as these conscious, deliberate architectural plans. Like you set an alarm, you decide what to eat, you choose your commute.
You feel like you're in charge.
Exactly. It feels like you are holding the blueprint.
Yeah.
But when you start pulling apart the minute-by-minute reality of how we operate, I mean, that blueprint often reveals itself to be less about design and more about just sheer survival.
It really forces a hard look at what we consider choice versus what is actually just, behavioral autopilot. Often, we're just managing cognitive load without even realizing it.
Which perfectly brings us to the source material for today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We're looking at a transcript that, honestly, on its surface, shouldn't be profound at all.
No, not at all.
It is literally an English language learning script. It was designed as basic conversation practice for beginners. Simple vocabulary, mundane scenarios.
Yeah, the classic, hello, how is your day kind of thing.
Right. But beneath that simplicity, it accidentally delivers this brilliant character study of 2 totally contrasting human lifestyles. And our mission today is to extract the hidden psychology of daily routines by looking at our 2 subjects.
We have Emily and Paul.
Yes, Emily, the very structured morning person.
Yeah.
And Paul, who is, the chaotic night owl.
And by placing these 2 narratives side by side, we get this fascinating, almost clinical reflection of how 2 different nervous systems navigate the exact same 24-hour constraints.
It's so true.
Because we all operate within a series of repeated actions that frame our existence, right? But the underlying mechanisms of how Emily and Paul experience those hours are fundamentally opposed. And as we walk through their day, I guarantee you're going to find yourself fiercely relating to one of them.
Oh, for sure. So let's jump right in. Let's look at the very first moment of consciousness. Dawn's first light.
Yeah.
Emily wakes up before the sun.
Naturally.
Well, her alarm is soft music, actually.
Yeah.
And she specifically mentions loving the quiet, like no cars, no noise. She makes a coffee with hot milk, sits by the window, and simply thinks.
Sounds idyllic.
It really does. But then we have Paul. Paul actively hates the morning. His alarm is this loud, aggressive beep, beep, beep.
Oh, the worst kind.
Yeah. And he hits the snooze button to negotiate for, quote, 5 more minutes, which inevitably loops, right? He only jumps out of bed when he's already late.
Classic Paul.
And what does he do? He chugs strong black coffee and instantly, like before anything else, starts checking his phone, reading the news, and scrolling emails.
Which is such a massive contrast, and it establishes the emotional baseline for their entire day. Let's really look at the mechanism of that snooze button behavior for a second.
Yeah, let's unpack that.
When Paul delays waking until he is literally late, he guarantees that his very first waking emotion is physiological panic.
Right, his heart rate is probably through the roof.
Exactly. He is instantly playing catch-up. He is yanking himself out of a sleep cycle, flooding his brain with cortisol, and beginning his day in a highly reactive state.
See, I always hear morning routines framed entirely around discipline. Like it's a moral failing if you sleep in.
Right. The whole rise and grind mentality.
Yeah, but I want to push back on that. To me, looking at Paul, it feels much more chemical than moral. Paul's morning is like waking up to a daily fire drill.
That's a great way to put it.
Whereas Emily's morning is like entering a sanctuary. And my theory here, and tell me if I'm crazy, is that Paul's instant phone checking isn't just a bad habit. I think it's an unconscious strategy.
Interesting. How so?
Well, if he's suffering from massive sleep inertia because of that fragmented snooze button sleep, maybe scrolling the news is a way to, manufacture enough adrenaline to shock his system awake.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, let's complicate that a bit. It might wake him up, sure, but at what cost? By absorbing the news and emails before he's fully conscious, he is immediately surrendering his agency. He's letting the world's demands dictate his internal state.
He's basically borrowing stress to wake up.
Exactly. He is absorbing external emergencies to force himself alert. Emily, conversely, claims a proactive state. She uses that quiet window with her hot milk coffee to establish her own internal baseline before the world is even permitted to intrude.
And that proactive state directly dictates how they fuel themselves next.
Yeah.
Emily takes the time to make yogurt with fruit or cook eggs.
Real sustenance.
Yeah, and Paul is rushing. He's eating plain toast with butter or just grabbing a banana on the way out the door. But the consequences of how they wake up really come to a head when we look at how they manage their executive function.
Oh, the closet.
Yes, we move from breakfast to the closet. They both take a hot shower, but then they face their wardrobes. Emily has a closet full of dresses, pants, and shirts. And despite all that early morning peace she had, she faces that classic dilemma. She literally says, I have nothing to wear.
The paradox of choice in action.
Right. But look at Paul. Paul utilizes a strict, almost militant wardrobe system. He only owns blue shirts, white shirts, and gray shirts.
Just those 3 colors.
That's it. He grabs one and he's done. And it even says in the script, thinking is for later. Now, think about your own mornings for a second. We usually associate minimalism with, like, highly organized tech executives trying to optimize their lives.
The Steve Jobs turtleneck effect.
Exactly. But Paul is the chaotic one here. He was just panicking in bed 10 minutes ago, yet he has this perfectly optimized wardrobe hack.
It seems contradictory at first glance, but the underlying logic makes it a structural necessity.
What do you mean?
Paul relies on that simplified wardrobe precisely because his mornings are a series of reactive crises. This isn't born out of a desire to optimize like a tech CEO. It's a tourniquet.
Oh, wow. A tourniquet.
Yeah, if he had to exert executive function to choose an outfit while he's already 10 minutes late, his morning would completely derail. He has eliminated cognitive load in literally the only place he can.
So the chaos actually requires the simplicity.
Precisely. Whereas Emily woke up with maximum agency, had a peaceful coffee, and ironically, having that luxury of time exposes her to decision fatigue.
That's wild. She has the mental space to overthink her outfit.
Exactly, which introduces friction into an otherwise completely calm morning.
And that friction, or, lack thereof, carries directly into how they manage environmental stress during the commute.
The commute is so revealing.
It really is. So Emily drives her car. On paper, it sounds comfortable, but she gets stuck in terrible stop-and-go traffic. And she copes by blasting loud music.
Right.
Now, Paul, he takes the bus. He admits it's incredibly crowded, which he dislikes. But he puts in his headphones and listens to music or podcasts to just get through it.
Yeah, he tunes it out.
I look at that and think, you know what? Paul actually has the advantage here.
Really? You think so?
I do. Yeah. Because Emily is experiencing active stress. Stop, go, brake, accelerate. Driving requires constant micro-attention and threat assessment, which constantly drains your executive function. Paul is just dealing with the passive discomfort of a crowd. It's annoying, but because he isn't operating heavy machinery, he can mentally check out.
I would challenge the idea that Paul has the advantage there.
Yeah. Why?
Well, yes, Emily is engaged in active micro-decisions, but she maintains autonomy. She controls her environment, the temperature, the volume of the radio, the route.
Okay, that's true.
Paul is trapped in a passive state of discomfort.
Yeah.
He is forced to retreat into his headphones because he has zero control over that crowded bus. Dissociating isn't the same thing as resting.
Oh, that's a really good point. Dissociating isn't resting. But it does kind of level the playing field by the time they walk through the office doors, right? The midday grind hits, and suddenly they are facing the exact same modern workforce burdens.
The environment neutralizes their mornings.
Exactly. The source material highlights that they're both instantly bombarded with emails. Emily focuses on talking to people and helping them, while Paul describes a day of reading emails, writing emails, and sitting in endless meetings about, quote, big reports.
So the environmental demands are basically identical. They are both processing high volumes of information. But how they sustain their biological infrastructure through that environment is where the paths wildly diverge again.
Which brings us to lunch.
The great lunch debate.
Right. So Emily brings her lunch from home, a homemade salad or sandwich. Yeah. It's highly organized, frugal, healthy.
Very Emily.
Very Emily. And Paul admits he lacks organization, so he just buys a sandwich from a local cafe every single day.
Yeah.
Now on paper, Emily is winning the productivity game. But Paul mentions a crucial detail in the transcript. Buying lunch guarantees him a 10-minute walk to the cafe to get out of the office.
Okay.
So I submit to you that buying lunch isn't a failure of organization for Paul. I think it's a mental health tax. He is buying a physical escape from those relentless meetings.
I mean, is it a strategic reset, or is it just a symptom of the exact same lack of impulse control that made him hit the snooze button?
Oh, harsh.
Well, we have to be careful not to romanticize a lack of planning, you know? Yes, the walk provides an environmental shift, which is good, but he is forced to take it because he didn't prepare.
Fair point.
Emily is saving money and eating nutrient-dense food, even if she stays entrenched in her work environment. And honestly, the biological cost of those choices becomes undeniably clear just a few hours later.
Oh, yes. The 3.0 p.m. slump.
It comes for everyone.
It hits both of them like an absolute freight train. They both describe getting incredibly sleepy, eyes closing, losing focus. It proves that you just cannot out-organize human biology. The circadian trough is undefeated.
Absolutely. The dip in the circadian rhythm is universal, but the true divergence here isn't that they get tired, it's the glycemic response they choose to fuel their recovery.
Let's look at the mechanisms of their choices. Emily copes with green tea and an apple,
Right.
and Paul copes with a cookie.
Which is everything you need to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Emily is choosing sustained energy. Green tea provides a gentle caffeine lift, and it's often buffered by L-theanine, so she's avoiding the jitters.
And the apple provides complex carbohydrates and fiber.
Yes, resulting in a slow, steady release of glucose into her bloodstream. But Paul goes straight for the refined sugar.
Which triggers a massive insulin spike. I mean, that cookie provides an immediate, aggressive burst of energy, which sure allows him to survive his afternoon meetings.
He needs that spike.
He does, but it chemically guarantees reactive hypoglycemia an hour or two later. That sharp physiological crash doesn't just make him tired, it absolutely decimates whatever executive function he has left for the day.
Wow.
And that biological reality dictates their entire evening.
So the workday finally ends. Emily fights the active stress of traffic again. Paul endures the passive stress of the crowded bus.
Right.
But they both agree on one universal truth in the transcript. They are thrilled to be going home. And the very first thing they do when they walk through the door is universally relatable. They shed their work clothes. Paul takes off the uniform of his blue shirt. Emily takes off her carefully chosen outfit, and they both put on comfortable t-shirts.
It is the physical shedding of the professional persona. They are lowering their armor.
It feels so good.
Yeah.
But the moment that armor drops, their evenings go in completely opposite directions, starting with the pets waiting for them.
The pets are such a great detail.
I love this part. Emily is greeted by her dog, Max. Max is energetic, jumping, barking, demanding engagement. And Paul is greeted by his cat, Bella. Now, Bella doesn't jump. Bella just says meow, which Paul translates as feed me. He literally calls the cat the boss of the house.
That is so telling. The pets act as physical manifestations of their routines.
How do you mean?
Well, Max is a catalyst for external regulation. The dog forces Emily to stay in motion to keep her energy up. Bella the cat, on the other hand, demands service but doesn't require active engagement, which perfectly matches Paul's severely depleted state.
Oh, that depleted state is so fully exposed when we look at dinner. Emily says she loves cooking, she plays music, cuts vegetables, makes soup or pasta. She actually finds it relaxing.
Right.
But Paul finds cooking terrifying.
Yeah.
He admits he burns chicken, he burns rice, and this is my favorite part. Notoriously, he manages to let a pot of water boil entirely away until it burns.
He burned water.
He burned water. And I don't see that as just a funny, quirky thing about being a bad cook. To me, that is a complete failure of working memory.
You're hitting right on the core of his cognitive depletion there. Cooking requires sequencing, timing, and sustained attention.
Yeah.
For Emily, chopping vegetables is a rhythmic, tactile process that actively engages the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps her transition out of the high alert state of her workday. And she has the capacity for it because the apple and green tea kept her blood sugar stable.
And Paul is just deep in the cookie crash.
Exactly. He doesn't have the working memory left to monitor a stove. Cooking isn't a relaxing transition for him. It's a high-stakes hazard.
So what does he do?
He defaults to basic eggs or outsources the problem entirely by ordering a pepperoni pizza. He is essentially buying his way out of cognitive demand to protect whatever limited evening peace he has left.
Which leads right into how they decompress. Paul cleans the kitchen, which, to be fair, is an interesting burst of activity for him.
Sure.
But then he just collapses onto his big red sofa. Bella the cat climbs on his chest and goes to sleep, effectively pinning him down. And he watches comedy movies because he says he, quote, needs to laugh after a long day.
Yeah, he needs that release.
Meanwhile, Emily, who isn't trapped by a feline overlord, takes Max the dog for a quiet night walk. She goes outside, enjoys the silence, and looks at the stars.
Notice the difference in their recovery states here. Emily engages in active recovery. She is outdoors, in motion, processing her day through connection with her environment.
Right.
Paul engages in passive numbing. He is static, indoors, using entertainment as a form of escapism just to self-soothe.
It's just a total shutdown. And this brings us to the end of the line. The final phase of our character study, which is actually just the setup for the next day, going to sleep.
Closing the loop.
Exactly. Emily gets into bed at 10 p.m. She reads a book for exactly 10 minutes, and then she snaps her fingers to demonstrate how instantly she falls asleep.
Her biological drives and her routine are in perfect alignment.
It's flawless.
Yeah.
But Paul stays up late, 11:30 p.m., sometimes midnight. He knows he despises mornings. He knows his alarm is going to cause panic. Yet, he admits he watches one more movie or surfs the internet.
Yeah.
And he explicitly acknowledges the consequence. He says, in the morning, you are tired. It is a big circle. He knows he is sabotaging the Paul of tomorrow. Why do that?
Because he feels he hasn't had any time for himself.
Oh, wow.
Think about it. When your entire day is spent reacting to alarms, rushing for buses, reading mandatory emails, and recovering from sugar crashes, the late evening is the only time you feel any sense of autonomy.
That makes so much sense.
Staying up late like that is a psychological phenomenon known as revenge bedtime procrastination. He is literally sacrificing tomorrow's energy to steal back a few hours of freedom today.
Wow. So we're looking at two entirely different ecosystems. Emily's day is linear. It builds capital.
Yes.
Waking up early buys her the bandwidth to handle the closet, which preserves the energy to cook dinner, which regulates her nervous system so she can fall asleep instantly. Each good habit pays dividends to the next.
While Paul operates on a reactive loop, he borrows against tomorrow to survive today.
Yeah.
He relies on adrenaline spikes from the news, strict constraints like the blue shirts, and quick glucose hits to just limp across the finish line, only to start the big circle again.
Which forces you to look at your own daily blueprint, doesn't it? I mean, look closely at your own big circle. Consider your morning alarm, your wardrobe choices, that 3.0 p.m. slump, your evening wind down. Are your routines a conscious linear progression, or are they an accidental reactive loop you've fallen into?
Exactly. It's the difference between directing your biology and constantly apologizing to it.
I love that. Directing versus apologizing. So I want to leave you with this final challenge. What would happen if, just for tomorrow, you forced a systemic shock to your routine?
Oh, I like this.
If you live like Paul, what if you woke up an hour early, ignored your phone, and just sat by a window to think? Or if you live an intensely structured life like Emily, what if you allowed yourself to let go? Go to the pizza, sit on the sofa, and just laugh instead of being perfectly optimized.
You never know what you might find.
Right. Shaking the foundation of your routine might expose a completely different version of yourself waiting beneath the surface. Keep analyzing those blueprints, and we will catch you next time.